Top creators spend $40 to $50 on a single thumbnail. But here's the thing, you can generate professional viral style thumbnails with your own face for about 10 cents. I've built a completely automated n8n workflow that takes any reference image, analyzes the style with GPT-5.1, and generates a stunning new thumbnail using AI. It saves directly to your Google Drive and it works in seconds. Today I'm going to show you exactly how to build this thumbnail designer step by step. Before we dive in, if you're serious about automating your business with AI, hit that subscribe button right now. I share workflows like this every week, completely free templates, no fluff. You're literally one click away from getting notifications when I drop the next automation that could save you thousands. Alright, here's how it works. First, we start with a form node where we accept an avatar image, a thumbnail source, and an optional prompt text area. To add this node, you simply click on the plus button, search for form, and in n8n, you'll find the form trigger. Click it and add it as a trigger. After you add this n8n node, if I open it and show you the configuration, we have the test URL and the production URL. We're going to use the production URL. So I'm going to click on this production URL, copy it and paste it in a new tab. Now, here's something critical. In order to work with this production URL, each time you do something, you have to save the workflow and click on this publish button. So after copying and using the production URL, you should specify a form title, which I've entered as thumbnail designer here, and there are two main and important fields here. Avatar image, which is a file type with multiple files disabled and the field required, and source thumbnail image, which is also file type, multiple files disabled, field required. I've also added the prompt field, which is an optional text area. We're going to use that if we want to change something specifically. For example, if you wanted to replicate the same thumbnail but with different text, different color, theme, or whatever. So after getting the files from this form node, what we're going to do here is we're going to convert each one of these files into base 64. What I'm going to do here is actually add two routes. I'm going to use the extract from file node, the file converter, and I'm going to use that binary file, which was actually selected. When we actually use this form here, this form which is opened in the new tab, when we enter the avatar image and the source thumbnail and click the submit button, what's going to happen is that both of these files will be uploaded to n8n as binary files, okay? So what we do here is we're actually accessing that binary field and specifying that binary field name, which comes exactly from the name of the field we specified before in the form submission node. We're going to specify a destination output field for that, and we're going to do the same thing for the source thumbnail. After that, the file will be converted to base 64, which is a string that represents the file. And we're going to use that base 64 and upload it to the 𝗨cie.AI platform. Here I need to explain about 𝗨cie.AI. 𝗨cie.AI is simply a platform that helps us actually use some of these video and image generation API. Another use case it has is, since we're dealing with these files, it gives us the ability to use their API to upload our files temporarily for like 2 months. So that's why we're using their API to upload our files temporarily and then send them to their API again so they can actually generate the final image for us. In order to work with this platform, what you're going to do is simply sign up to their platform. And by signing up for the first time, they give you 80 credits, which is enough for this tutorial to work with and actually try creating your thumbnails. So after signing up into the 𝗨cie.AI platform, you're going to enter this URL as the base URL for uploading the file. We're going to click on generic credential type. We're going to use the header authentication and we're going to enter our credential here. And the point here is in order to add your credential, we're going to get back to the 𝗨.ai platform. We're going to click on Get Started. We're going to log into their website. If you go to API keys, you can click on Create a new API key if you want, and you're going to copy the API key, get back to n8n. Let's assume we want to create a new credential. We're going to paste this API key here, but the most important part here is you cannot just copy and paste the API key here. You should start with, as we can see in the documentation, you should start with this word bearer. The actual header that we're using here is authorization. So you're going to copy this authorization and you're going to write it here as the name of the header. And you're going to start with the word bearer, space, and your token. Okay? You're going to enter both of these together, click on save, and that's it. Now you've added the credential here. What we're going to do is simply send the body as JSON, and we're going to specify the body using fields below. The first field is base64 data, and the way we've done this here is setting the MIME type, and then the base64 that we generated before using the convert to base64 node. We're going to use upload path, which is just the field that specifies the upload path for us. I'm going to enter it as images. It doesn't really matter for the file name. I'm going to generate base64-avatar-image, and here we're going to use the current date as a random differentiator, okay? So we do the same thing here for the source image, so I'm not going to spend your time on this. After that, we're going to get the download URL after calling that API, and we're going to just remap this download URL to avatar URL. We're going to do the same thing for the thumbnail source URL. If you're enjoying this tutorial and finding it helpful, do me a favor and smash that like button. It helps the algorithm show this to other business owners who need it. Seriously, it takes 1 second and it makes a huge difference. After remapping both of these URLs, we're going to merge both of these URLs. And what we do here is we're going to simply send this thumbnail source, which is the actual thumbnail that we copied and downloaded based on a specific YouTube video. We're going to send it to the OpenRouter API. You can use OpenAI or any specific LLM provider or AI provider that you like, but I found OpenAI one of the best image analyzers out there. I've used it multiple times, and I think OpenAI models are very good when it comes to analyzing images. But here I'm using OpenRouter because I can access any LLM that I like, and OpenRouter gives me the ability to choose any AI model that I like. So that's why I'm using their API. If I double click on this, this is an HTTP request node. We're hitting their base URL, which is this URL. You can simply copy and paste it since you're going to have access to this workflow, which I'm going to explain about at the end of this video. You just copy and paste this URL, and you're going to use the predefined credential type here instead of the generic credential type. Since this is a known and native configuration, I'm talking about OpenRouter, you can use this predefined credential. You're going to click this OpenRouter, and you can actually click on this OpenRouter credential. You just simply go to your OpenRouter account. If you don't have one, you just simply log in and click on keys. You're going to click Create a new API key, copy and paste the key, get back to n8n and paste it here. That's it. Very simple, okay? So after that, again, send the body. The body content type is again JSON. The specified body is using JSON here, not fields below this time. It's different. And if I open this one, in the first line here in this object, you just copy and paste it. But I'm going to explain about it. We're going to specify the model that we're using in OpenRouter since we have access to almost all the LLM providers. In this specific project, we want to use the OpenAI models. That's why we start with OpenAI/, then I'm going to specify that specific model from that company. So in this case, we're going to use GPT 5.1. And here's the important part, which is after specifying the model, we want to send the prompt alongside the image URL. Because we want to give the image to the AI model and tell it, analyze this image and generate a prompt, generate a detailed prompt about how we can replicate this specific thumbnail. So as you can see here, this is a very long prompt that I've generated with ChatGPT with the same model. And what it does is simply says, analyze this whole image, the only image that we are passing here, and try to replicate everything. I mean text, objects, environment, background, colors, theme, temperature, saturation, well, everything. But the point is, don't try to describe the face of the character. I mean, this is what I told the prompt to generate. If you have seen any face, like the avatar in a thumbnail, try to just copy their emotion, their facial expression, and these sorts of things, is their posture. For example, the way that they're standing, the way that they're sitting or whatever, the thing that they're wearing, and these sorts of things. So that's why after we upload our image, this analyze node is going to generate that prompt for us. And the prompt will be passed to the next HTTP request, which this time we're going to send this HTTP request to the 𝗏cie.ai endpoint here. Then, as I explained earlier, this 𝗏cie.ai platform is responsible for image generation, video generation, these sorts of things. And for this tutorial, we're using the nano-banana-pro, which is very cheap. For example, we're generating 2K resolution images here, and it costs only 18 credits. 18 credits means like 9 cents, which is very cheap, and the quality is very impressive. If you're asking about the cost of this OpenAI model, it is also very cheap, even cheaper than this 9 cents. So we can say that each thumbnail will be generated at like 10 cents. So it's perfect. I think this is a very good value proposition. So let me get back to this request node. You're going to enter this URL as the base URL and endpoint. So for making it simpler, what you can do is you can copy and paste the previous node here and just change the URL here because we're creating a task here, not uploading something. But here, as I explained earlier, we are using the generic credential type, the header auth, and the 𝗏cie.ai header auth that we generated before. We're going to send the body and again JSON using JSON below. Here again, we should specify the model that we're using. In this case, it's nano-banana-pro, one of the best models when it comes to doing these sorts of editing things. Here, the prompt that we're using, the only thing that it says, I mean, it's very long, but the most important part of this prompt here is you can change it based on your use case, but what it says is, we have provided all the description about this thumbnail. But remember that there is a person in this thumbnail, and I want you to use the file that we have provided and use that face instead of the face that's inside the thumbnail. So it's using the prompt that was generated before using the OpenAI model. So this is the prompt that is actually being appended to this prompt, and all of that will be sent to nano-banana-pro. So nano-banana-pro has all the details and implementation for the actual thumbnail, but it doesn't have any specific details for the face of that character. This is what we're telling this prompt. Use the face of the person, which I'm actually attaching to you right now. And the thing that we're saying here is that aspect ratio must be 16:9, which is the required aspect ratio for YouTube thumbnails. The resolution here is 2K, which is more than enough for YouTube. We can actually use 4K. If you go to nano-banana-pro in the 𝗏cie.ai platform, you can see that we have 1K, 2K, which both of them are like 9 cents, and we have 4K, which is like 12 cents. So if you like to use 4K, you can do that. But I think 2K is enough for YouTube thumbnails. And the output format could be PNG or JPEG. It doesn't matter. I've used JPG or JPEG here. And most importantly, we're going to pass the image as an input here. And the input here is not going to be the reference or the source thumbnail. It's going to be the avatar URL, which is going to be used inside the final output. After that, we're going to check the result of the task that we initiated in 𝗏cie.ai. So the way that this 𝗏cie.ai platform works is like this. We use their API, we specify all the configurations, and we hit that start button. And since these sorts of generations take time, it's not like simple API that take like milliseconds or seconds to run. It takes almost like more than 30 seconds, 60 seconds, or more than 1 minute to generate that image, video, or whatever. That's why we can't actually use a very simple API endpoint and wait until we get the result. What we do here is we're going to check the result every 5 seconds and get back again. We check it 5 seconds and get back again. So what we do here is we're going to use another base URL, which is different, the same credential type we've used before. And this time the query that we're sending, since this is just a GET request, the query that we're sending is just the task ID, which we got from the previous node. And the result of that API should be 200, which means it's actually successful and we haven't seen any error. And besides being 200, which means that the request was sent and we have retrieved the information, not the result, just the information. Beside that, the state must be success. If it's success, it means that the image is ready. But let's assume that we've just initiated this image generation, so we shouldn't expect to get the image after seconds. So that's why for the first time, we usually shouldn't get this success. So this is going to check if the image has failed. If the state is fail, we're going to stop the whole workflow. We're going to show the error, but hopefully it's not an error. We're going to wait for like 5 seconds. You can set it to whatever you like, but 5 seconds is okay. And we're going to check the output again. We do this process and repeat it as much as it takes to generate this image, and after like 1, 2, 3, 4 times, we don't really know. It's random. I mean, we don't really know how much it would take to generate that image. It depends on their servers. But after a while, now we can see that the request is 200, the status code is 200, and the state is success. So what we do here is we're going to get that URL, remap it, and we're going to download that image. After downloading that image, we're going to upload the image to Google Drive. As you can see here, these images are uploaded to Google Drive. If I double-click this, you see it's being uploaded. And the way that we're actually uploading this to Google Drive is very simple. We've connected n8n, and we've added the Google Drive credentials here. If you don't know how to do this, since it takes a really long time to explain, I've added a link in the description where you can actually learn how to add Google credentials for Google Drive, Google Sheets, or whatever Google service you'd like to add. So after adding that credential, you're going to use the file resource and you're going to use upload as an operation. Since we're using the HTTP request to download that file, the default name of that binary field is data. We're going to set this as data, and we're going to set a name for this, and we're going to use that current date as a name for this file. Yeah. So you're going to choose the drive that you have in your Google Drive and the specific folder that you've created before. And after that, the file will be uploaded. After uploading the file, we need to add this to our Google Sheet. I'm going to include this Google Sheet at the very end. I'll show you how you can copy this Google Sheet as a template, but we simply have created at and the URL. So what we do here is we're just simply selecting our sheet file, and then we're actually selecting that specific sheet that we've created, which in this case is logs, and we just map them manually. And for the created at, we're going to use the current date, current time, the timestamp, and for the URL, we just use the web content link from the previous node, which is the upload image node from Google Drive. So yeah, this is it. Very simple workflow, but it can save you hours if you want to generate perfect thumbnails. If you want to steal ideas from other creators, like very big creators, and have them ready in seconds, this workflow can help you. If you want the full workflow, the complete system prompt, we're in the Google Sheets template. Everything is available for free. Just click the link in the description. It'll take you to a Gumroad page. Since it's free, just enter 0 for the price and download everything instantly.